part of the ritual.
You're a risky man, taking risks.
On the edge, baby.
You're a dangerous man. Okay, all right. Let's get serious. So the Instagram Live people, do you want to intro to the Instagram Live people so they know what's happening right now, or we do it all at once?
They can definitely wait. How long we got, brother?
Suspense.
We're about to go live for you guys, so just hang there on Instagram. Hang there, we're about to go live. You're about to know exactly what we're doing or what we're not doing. Right?
Ready? We're going live in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, guys. SpeakuP Monday every Monday here at Tropical Nomad. 6:30. I was about to say 9:30. 6:30 every Monday. Tropical Nomad. Come and join us. Pull up a chair next to you. So I want to introduce tonight's guest, Aren Bahia. I got it right.
You got it right. Well, you fucked up the last name.
I know.
Okay. No one gets my last name right. That's totally okay. Yeah. It's Aren Bahia.
Bahia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't worry about it. Everyone messes that up. But at least you didn't call me Aren for the 17th time.
I love it. I know.
I'm not upset about it. I'm not even bitter about it at all.
So as you can see from the start, it's going to be a very talkative SpeakuP Monday, which is what we love. So guys, one last thing, if you want to be on the show, feel free to reach out to me. The details are below what you're looking at now, and you can be a guest like Mr. Beautiful Aren man over here. Just reach out to me. In the meantime, let's get started. Now, Aren, firstly, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right. So you've had an incredible start to life. For those of you here, Aren is now an entrepreneur, philanthropist. What else would you add to that? I added yogi, but would you add yogi to that?
In ways. I mean, I did my yoga teacher training. I practiced quite a bit, but not as much in that way, but more on, finding union with myself, trying to connect into a higher, better version of me consistently, and the all-around yogi, but I do practice here and there.
Got it. So what I love about your story, which we're going to get into now, is that, right now I look at you and I see this guy who's got it together. He's sharp, he's smart, handsome as well, let's be honest. Handsome, sharp, smart, but you've got the juice, right? You're a guy who's got lots of energy, very insightful. Being a life coach, you have understanding and experience there, which you're able to share with people in a way that's very clarifying, right? But this is not where it started for you, is it? Right? So maybe, once I found this out, I was blown away because there's a few things in there that we have in common, for sure, but also some things that are very different. So maybe if you can take us back, to maybe your early years, what was life like for you and who were you being?
I've been a lot of different people at a lot of different times in my life, and it started off, I was a chubby little fat boy. Like, I grew up the fat kid. I had braces, I had glasses, I had asthma, I had a high-pitched voice, and when I got excited, it got more high-pitched, which was super embarrassing. I was attracting more attention to me. I remember at one point, my braces made me have a gap in between my teeth. Anybody else have that at one point? So you have like a gap, and there was this little wrench they gave you to tighten them. I wasn't cool. I was not the cool kid. I was definitely had some working on to do in that sense, and I was bullied. So I grew up that kid in a very rough neighborhood, attracting more attention to me than I really wanted. I was the slowest runner in my entire school, so that was super embarrassing because any sports day or something like that, the entire rest of the grade would be waiting for me on the other end of the field, and I'd be running there with my little boy boobs bouncing, wheezing because of the asthma, whistling because of the gap in my teeth. It wasn't a good time. And I remember those days. They were tough. I mean, who else got bullied in this audience? If you've been bullied, put your hand up. Yeah. It's not a good time. And after that, growing up in that rough area, I had access to rough characters around me. They were just like commonplace. So like my best friend's older cousin growing up was in a street gang. A bunch of my friends were, affiliated with street gangs. So it was just kind of easy to see if I went down that lifestyle. Those guys didn't get fucked with. They weren't being bullied. And so it was interesting to see now after kind of doing a lot of self-work after to see why I did certain things. And I got sucked into the life of right away at 17 years old, recruited into a street gang after that because I just wanted to be a cool kid. I wanted to be somebody who was respected, or at that sense, not bullied anymore. Feared instead of a victim. And I started training Muay Thai, started kickboxing, I started rolling around with rough characters. Before I knew it, I was just in super, super deep. And that was a crazy point in my life when I was dealing with like Mexican cartels and meeting those guys down in Mexico and just being like, whoa, this is a different level. This is not the fun and games. This is not the glamorous life of a drug dealer anymore. Things got really, really intense. And during those times, while I was deep in it, I got deep into addiction because dealing with that lifestyle was quite intense. And so numbing the fears that I had, the chaos I was dealing with, the type of characters I had to deal with, I was just numb. I was taking opiate painkillers. I was deep in my addiction to opiate painkillers. I was dealing with crazy amounts of money. I was dealing with crazy characters and crazy drug dealer problems and, living the life of a rap music video. But then, like, in all those, like, kind of gangster movies like Blow and Goodfellas and Scarface, it always ends not good. There's never, like, a happy ending for Scarface, It's like, it's always some crazy shit happens and he ends up getting shot and falling into his pool, or luckily I didn't get shot and fall into my pool. I saw a movie that changed my life, and Julia Roberts came to my rescue.
So let's. I'm going to wind this back. Thank you, my brother. I'm going to wind this back a little bit, right? So growing up, as you mentioned, as a kid, and being involved in all these violent episodes, violent characters. We're calling colourful characters where we are from, right? Colourful characters.
Sounds like Sesame Street.
I know. It's like colourful characters from Sesame Street, guys. So. But now you come from this enlightened perspective. You've done a lot of self-work that we'll get into later. What, if anything, do you think that you were missing? If somebody asked you, well, look, Aren, like what were you missing back then for you to get into that? Because there are people who are watching now who might be in that similar situation, right? People who are there and they don't know how to get out, and they're kind of they're leading towards that path, maybe without knowing it, right? Because they're trying to fill a gap, they're trying to fill a hole. So if I asked you that question through I guess the perspective, if there was a hole to fill, what would that hole have been for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Purpose. That was exactly it. And you don't have to be involved in gang life or doing anything super illegal to, be unhappy in where you're at. And I was absolutely searching for something. I needed a mission. I needed something I believed in. I needed purpose. I didn't know what I was doing in life. I was a teenager, and then I was in my mid or young 20s, and I just wanted something that I had a path, I was doing a thing, and something that I could hold on to. I needed identity. I needed to be a guy that had a thing. And I know that sounds quite vague, but it's like we all want a path, a purpose, a mission, and doing it with people we love. And I had a distorted masculine version of that, where it was be rolling around with gangsters. We had kind of our own little boys club, and that was providing that kind of sense of community and connection and identity. And so purpose was the main thing, though, and I was lost without that. And my purpose then was getting rich. I wanted money, sex, and drugs.
And you mentioned about that distorted picture, right? So your parents, like our parents have got different things, right? Come with different things. Some maybe take this from dad, some maybe take this from mom, right? So from you looking at your life as you were growing up, which things, if any, did you take from which parent?
I took a bunch of stuff from my folks. Did any of you guys, and have you seen that show, That 70s Show? Like that sitcom from the States? Yeah. It's an obscure reference maybe, but like my dad was like Red Foreman, like the hard ass, and then my mom was like Kitty, like the like super gregarious and bubbly, right? So I got a mix of both out of those. And I noticed now, after doing all these men's retreats, like we just did one, and a bunch of the people are from that men's retreat I just did, I saw the elements of the masculine in me that they weren't cool. They were super harsh. They were quick temper. They were not able to feel my feelings. Get angry instead of actually feeling something. There was no talking it out. Go into fight mode, and I could see that. So my dad was like that snap temper, and my dad's a great dude. I don't want to bag on him in that, but I just saw the parts in him that I took from that. And then my mom was the chatty, my mom's a community librarian, and she's the type of person, if we're out to dinner, oh, Dave just walked in, what's up, bro? Sorry, mid-convo. So if my mom was out to dinner, she'd be the type of person that would make conversations with the table next to her. Yeah. So it's like they would be laughing and she would perk up and want to be in conversation and like join the other table's conversation. She's that type of like chatty person. So you can guess where I got that from, you know? And that made me a good drug dealer.
Yeah. And so, I love that. Yeah. I can just see you charming people to death, mate. Yeah. You know, because you have this, like, for those people who are not sitting next to you, like, you have this beautiful light about you, right? And it pulls you in. You know what I mean? So I can see it's that, what's that word? It's not charming. It's like that, but it goes a bit deeper, and it will come to me later on, I'm sure. Which one? Charismatic. Thank you, brother.
You my boy Blue. It's
Yeah.
my buddy Blue.
Yeah.
I just like saying you my boy Blue. It just really makes me happy.
But it's that charisma, you know, which, so that charisma, you said, you know, that your mum was that gregarious person who would strike up a conversation with anyone sitting next to her, and you felt that you got that from her, right? So is there any place where that got you in trouble that you can think of?
Oh, for sure. All the time. Yeah, absolutely. I learned a lot of hard lessons from that, from being like the class clown and then maybe being a bit too mouthy, you know, definitely. There's always somebody bigger and tougher than you on the playground, right? And so I remember that being a bit too mouthy, a little bit too lippy sometimes, maybe cracking jokes with people I shouldn't be cracking jokes with, and just getting the shit kicked out of me in high school. When I was a bit younger, I was that fat kid. Yeah, I was a bit too much of that, you know? And I had the high-pitched voice. Yeah. So it was like being a little bit too lippy plus the high-pitched voice equals a black eye. That's the equation right there.
Yeah. So for those of you here, we have a studio audience. If you ever want to come and join the studio audience, feel free. It's a unique experience, I find. So now, for me, it was the opposite, right? So I used to get myself into trouble, and I used to use my mouth to get out of it, right? I'll be cracking people up, making them laugh to the point where they didn't want to beat me. Because it's like, well, this guy, I'm having so much fun with him. Like, why do I want to have this guy around me? Because he makes me laugh, right? I don't want to have, you know, so why do I want to lay a beating on this guy here, right? So just interesting the way we use it.
No, actually, that's what I used to do when I was rolling with some really serious characters. Like, in the drug game, I was still the funny guy. You know, I'd still be joking around, fun, build trust, build rapport. There's transferable skills and all these other things, but that's actually what I used then because I was dealing with people that were quite serious. I mean, in terms of their capabilities and what they would do, and I would just joke my way through it and be like kind of the fun guy. So it was a good time to be around, and so that was cool. That's where it kind of worked and got me into different doors and different rooms because that'd be fun to be around and make jokes. You know, I like to joke my way through things and easy. It doesn't have to be so serious, and that was kind of my vibe. Yeah.
So then how did you, and we won't spend too long on this, but how did you find yourself into that drug situation which you mentioned before? What was your way in?
It's kind of funny, but growing up, like, okay, so I was 12 years old. My best friend's dad at the time, he was our t-ball coach, and he was like, we went to his house, and in the basement, we opened this door, and we found a marijuana grow up in the basement of his house. And this was my t-ball coach, and I was like, what is all this? Because it was just like lights hanging from the ceiling, tin foil on all the walls, Christmas trees everywhere. It was like Christmas on the moon. It was kind of what it looked like inside of there, and we were like, whoa, what do we do with this? You know, and it's the best and worst thing to happen to a 12-year-old kid because you're like free unlimited weed, which is a bad and good thing, mostly bad to happen to you at that age. But in your perspective, it's the best thing ever because it was just like, great, we could start making money, we'd have free weed, we'd sell joints and buy alcohol. We were 12, you know, 13. We started quite young, and that was like that was the way in where that was the start of my entrepreneurial endeavors.
What I love, if you're not watching here, all the audience here, the eye just raised a few giggles. Not sure how to take that. What kind of audience do we have here? Joking, all right?
I promise I do good things now, okay?
You know, one thing we spoke about earlier on off camera was this experience that you had with that healer. Yeah. Right? I'd love to know more, and I'd love to let these guys know about that experience. So if you could explain that would be amazing.
Oh, man. So, okay. Purpose, right? We were talking about purpose a little bit before that, and that's something that would be, I was completely lost. I left the drug game. I saw Julia Roberts come to me in an apparition called Eat, Pray, Love, and I knew I needed to come to Bali. I rock up in Bali. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing a yoga teacher training at Yoga Barn. I'm trying to roll with these hippies. I still got diamond earrings. I'm still like, yeah, I'm trying to mix into that world, and I don't know what to do and who I am and how to act. It was a huge transition, and I came, by myself the first time, and that was a big shifting point. And so I knew I needed a thing to do. I knew I needed to switch directions in my life, but I didn't know what to do and where to go with it, right? So I heard about this woman that you meditate with. She might sound like a healer, but she was like a blonde white lady. Like, it's not like she had, she could fly or anything like that. She was a normal person. And we're sitting in there.
Normal looking person.
Yeah, totally. It's a normal looking person, but she's super powerful. And I'd sit and she would meditate with me, and she could see into like different layers of myself and see what I really wanted to do, what I really needed to do, what was deep inside of me. And she said, you need to align with giving, connection, and inspiration. Those are what you got to do. Compassion, inspiration, inspire others, and give. Like, that's what's gonna make you, and connect. Give, connect, inspire. Like, do that. If you do those things, whatever you do, you'll be happy and successful. And that was a huge weight lifted off of me. I was like, okay, still, like, what do I do with that? But like, I had an idea of where to go, and so if I align with projects that do those things, it's going to be in the right direction. So all the business moves I did since then all have it with Conscious Arts, Karma House, YogiLab. Those are all things that tick those boxes for me, right? And that was super important. So it didn't feel like work anymore. It felt like purpose, and that's what was completely lacking in the drug game.
Yeah. One of the things which I love about you, mate, there are a few, but one of the things which I love is this understanding of you embracing who you are, right? And I'm a huge believer in the more experiences that you have when you're young, if you can integrate those experiences, huge leverage is possible. Huge leverage is possible. So I look a little bit into your background and your past, and I see opportunities for huge leverage, which is obviously what you're doing now, some of them. Now, so the thing which is coming forward, because you got your brother man over here in the front row. So let's talk about men's work, because there's a lot of people here, who are looking at this right now. So about 2 years ago, I started the men's group in Bali. We did it for about a year and a half. And then after that, it kind of not dissolved it. There was no further need for it. And, the thing about men's work, which I love, is about embracing the feminine within us as well, right? So I don't want to lead you too much of this question, but like, what is men's work for you? So what comes up when I say men's work, and what have you noticed over the last maybe 20 years of your life in reference to that?
That's a good question. I mean, I just finished this Art of Loving Women retreat that was by my friends Chantel and Aren, and it was super powerful. It was about integrating the feminine within you to be a more masculine character and be bigger in your totality, integrate you as fully as you can. That was awesome. But when you say men's work, I think of the company culture we have at YogiLab, and it's like, that's the men's work. It's rolling with guys. You're on a mission together. We hold each other accountable. We lift each other up. We're there for each other. It's support. It's mission, it's purpose, it's passion. It ticks those boxes for me, because I have a tough time sitting in a circle and here, let's all share our feelings. I'm like, fuck off. It's hard for me. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
That's a challenge for me. But if I'm with guys that I'm comfortable around, I trust, we're doing things together, we're on a mission, that's juicy for me. And that's been the men's work for me, because I didn't have men I could trust in the drug game. And that's why I left. The main reason why I left is because my best friend of 20 years, me and him were going at it. We were setting each other up to kidnap each other. It was getting to a point of extreme violence, because he wouldn't pay me a $60,000 debt. And that broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. And I thought, if this guy could do this to me, and what I have to do to try to get this money, but what am I even doing? What are we doing here? It was heartbreaking, and I had this wound inside of me around the masculine for a while, actually, because it was like, if I got burned like that, can you really trust guys? And then meeting Dave and Sash and Brian, who you had on, these guys are like pillars in my life that I can trust, and it's lifting each other up and having that love and support. And often it's not fun. We call each other out all the time, and it's a bit harsh, but it's growth, and there's that love still and that support with it. So all the men I've had the closest in my life have told me what's up when I'm being an idiot, but then there's that love. They pull you in still, and that's men's work for me, right? That's, praise, correct praise. Like, tell me what's up. Tell me I'm not a shithead, but and when I am a shithead, tell me I'm a shithead, but hold me in. And that's men's work for me.
So then what's coming up for me with the men's work is that, so you went from not trusting men, right, to trusting men. So if there was, 2 or 3 things which you would say were the key, I know you mentioned some people, some of which are here already, but for anyone watching here, right, this is what this show is about. It's about sharing the heart of us, but not what we've done, but who we are. Because who we are determines what we do anyway, right? So let's go into that. So which thing specifically allowed you to start trusting men? Which thing specifically?
I think it was reciprocal vulnerability. So you could actually just be open, and your friend can be open as well, and you guys can hold each other in that and help each other grow. That was important. That was something that I didn't have back in that game. That was something that you'd be seen as weak. But if you can open up your heart and show what's really happening with you, and your friend can hold you in that, and vice versa, that was a bridge for connection. And that really meant a lot to me, And over the 3-4 years that we've all been so close with YogiLab, Karma House, we've all gone through a lot, but we've always been there and held each other in that. And so that kind of support, to know somebody has your back, was super important. And like Dave taught me what it's like to be a good friend. He's been one of the best friends I've ever had. And so that connection, and that just showing you, hey, this is what it means to really support someone. That's super healing, especially if you came from a hard place. To have somebody there that's just going to show up for you in that, super important. Super important. That's one of the most valuable things I've seen right there. And make sure they don't rob you of 60 grand, and then and then you want to kidnap each other. That was the second one. That was a really important one for me.
Like you remind me of me, right? So you get to the vulnerable place, and then you pull back by using humor. You notice that?
Get too mushy in here. Dave's gonna start crying.
It's all good. No, but it's good. It's good. So let's go back in there, right? Where in that list that you haven't mentioned yet is anything to do with loving and forgiving yourself?
That was huge. Yeah, that was really huge. A huge part of actually shifting and changing was forgiveness of myself. I had to forgive all these characters in my life that did me wrong.
How did you do it?
Yeah, wow. Introspection. It was a practice of actually, like, I did some courses on it, I did some classes, but really it was like letting go. And I think it was in my first Vipassana meditation retreat. I did it in Burma, and it was hot as fuck in Burma. It was crazy. And I just felt like I was melting away all these horrible things that happened to me. I was sitting there sweating, trying not to fall asleep because it was so hot. But I remember, like, going through all of these rough things that happened, and being able to detach from it and take it less personally, because I felt like those things happened to me rather than they just happened, and they could happen for me even, but they just happened, and detach myself from them because they were weighing me down. There were really tough times where people really betrayed me in that game, and it was hard, and the forgiveness set me free from that. And that's something I think everybody can really benefit from, is like, if you got hurt, the quickest way for you to feel better is forgive. And I didn't know that because I was holding on to everything, and I'll fucking hate this guy forever, and just that's not good for you. That's really bad for you, And as soon as I was able to, like, okay, let that go, read some good books on it, that was when it freed me up, and I got more creative then. Yeah.
I'm going to go back there. How did you forgive? How did you? Because some people might be looking at this and saying, okay, forgive, okay, fine, I forgive. But what does that mean? How do I do it? How does it feel?
Yeah. It feels pretty amazing. There was one example. This guy, I was 21 years old. He was 28. And this is kind of gets a little bit rough. Sorry, guys.
Don't be sorry.
He's 28. He was older than me. He actually murdered someone. He was a known killer in the area, older gangster. He came to my sister's wedding. We were friends, and so I thought we were friends. Like, I really believed in that. And this is when my too chattiness really got me in trouble. I can't blame my mom. It was me who I told him I had a large amount of narcotics at my house, and I lived in my parents' basement. I had a bunch of weed, 18 pounds. And so he took me out to eat, and his buddy came and they robbed me, and so he set me up, and I was absolutely heartbroken. Like, it really hurt because I couldn't do nothing to this older dude. He was a known killer. I got done dirty, and when I told him, like, dude, you did this to me, he's like, I didn't do it. I'm like, I know you did it. There's no other way. No one else could do it. He's like, if you tell anyone, we'll tax you $5,000. I'm like, whoa, that was absolutely heartbreaking. I was 21, 22, and I felt so powerless. It hurt me to my core. I couldn't sleep for a week. I was devastated. I was in debt now because of that. It was one of the most heartbreaking experiences for a 21-year-old kid, right? It just got the rug pulled out from under my feet. I held on to that for a decade, for an absolute decade. And to forgive him for that was one of the most freeing things possible, to be like, yo, that sucks that you were in that mindset to do that, that sucks that you had to do that and that was okay for you, and whatever karma he accrued from that, that's on him. But for me to hold on to it and hate him till this day was only making me sick, and I just had to let that go, and I just had to actually just feel into that and actually say, I forgive you. It's not like I'm gonna call the dude and be like, yo bro, I forgive you. No, that doesn't need to happen whatsoever. It was just an internal process of actually just detaching from it, not taking that personally anymore, not letting that weigh me down, and actually just think like, hey, yeah, I forgive you. I understand. We all just do the best we can with what we got. That whole thing, right? But there's a part of that is true. We're all just doing what we think's right at the time, and that often isn't really that right, but we don't have to. That's none of our business. We can just let go of it.
Got it. And, brother man, do you love yourself?
Yeah, that's a big one.
I know. Yeah, I feel it.
That's a hard journey because it was a long time, and I still struggle with this. It's still not an easy thing. We have our ups and downs, but self-love is such an important thing. And I think my self-love in the drug game was equated to what I had, the perception of me, and to still this day, there's different levels of that, and there's something I can't claim to be perfect in that respect. It's something I still am, dealing with, but to sit with myself more and actually just integrate really what I am, that's the path that I'm seeing is actually getting some gains on it, Yeah, acceptance.
Man, you've done so well, man. Like, it's, I get the sense, of where you're coming from. I get the sense of maybe the things, I wouldn't call it lack, but the things that you didn't acknowledge when you're growing up, and what led you into that hole, if you want to call it a hole. It's an experience, right? Which have made you such a multifaceted person with some amazing stories, right? But what I see inside is this. You got that?
My buddy bought me a spirulina protein shake. It was sweet of him.
Wow.
It was nice of him.
I was kind of noticing, the greenness of the inside of it. Yeah. And I was wondering, is that spirulina?
I'm drinking a surprise drink from a friend that I did the men's retreat from. Thank you, bro.
Oh, man. So as you brought him up again, we're going to go back there. So in this men's retreat, and it was called The Art of Loving Women. Yeah. Okay, The Art of Loving Women for men. All right, just gonna put it out there. There's probably some girls at home now looking at their partner, going, "You should go to that, darling." It's true, man. It's true. If I was sitting at home, I have a great relationship. We got 2 kids. Marina, if you're watching, I hope you're not, but you probably are. She would. You know how when you're in a relationship and your partner, they think a certain way, right? And they don't have to say it. Yeah. It's a look like. And anyway, so on this retreat, The Art of Loving Women. Now I know there are some things which should be left alone, maybe not brought up or mentioned, more than likely. However, I want you to share something with us and these guys here of something that you were doing
Oh my
Right?
God.
Something that you're doing, which, as you said off camera, my homeboys back in, they would kill me for doing
My
this.
buddies would kick the shit out of me if they saw what I was doing. It's so funny. The funniest part was, okay, so that's my buddy Joe right there, this handsome guy. And we had to do this one part. So it's like, to pre-frame it, oh God. Yeah. We'll keep it PG. So it was about integrating the feminine within you, right? And so you have to really like sit with the feminine inside of you, get to the sensual, soft feminine that's inside of you, right? And this dude that I know is leading it, and I've seen this guy wear high heels. Like I remember Polly Bloom, he's walking around in high heels. Like no judgment, but yes judgment, bro. What the fuck? I was like, Anyways, so he's the one leading this. He does really good in high heels, by the way. I was impressed. Skillful. So he's the one leading this, and we have to dance like the inner sensuality in us. Like really, like if we were a sexy woman, how would we be dancing? And he's like, this is what you guys need to do, but first, partner up. And I'm like, okay, so me and Joe are beside each other. Joe's my boy, so we're like, okay, let's do this. And we have to watch each other dance sexy for each other. You did great. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm pissed at this point. I'm just like, yo, really? A couple of the other guys, we all look at each other, we're like, oh, you fucking... I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying to like, first, actually, no. I got to be completely honest with this. First, I'm not being cool about it. At first, I'm just like, you fucking kidding me? And Joe was an inspiration because we were joking around and he's the one who was like, all right, maybe his girlfriend was watching, Matilda's watching, and he didn't want to he wanted to show up. So yeah, of course.
Joe, you're on next week, mate.
So you should have Joe. He's epic. And so yeah, he starts getting into it, and then I'm like, oh, I guess we're doing this. So I start getting into it, and it was this one part where we had to like kind of guide each other, and I had to lead him like he's the feminine. So I'm guiding him like I'm dancing with him, and he's the feminine, and then he had to do it to me, and it was so soft. Yeah, well, we're so connected now, right? It was so sensual. I felt so held. It was such a connective experience.
Supported.
I felt supported, right? And so that part, I was just like, man, this is gay, and that's what I was thinking because literally I thought this was until it wasn't, and it was actually just opening myself up to something that I wasn't comfortable with. Going for it and doing it, and then seeing there's benefits on the other end of doing something that you weren't comfortable with. There is gold in doing that. There is gold in just, you know what? I'm going to do the uncomfortable thing right now and not being the guy that's in the corner. I didn't do this. This is gay. I'm not going to fucking do this. Don't be that guy. No, go take a risk. And Joe really inspired me for that, and him doing that and just being like, no, I'm still a dude. I'm going to go and do this. I'm still a man. We're both fighters. I'm going to do this. I can do this. But like getting into it, then being like, oh, sensual. It was cool. And so that part was all right. And then after that, we did our solo sensual dance, and they put on a song I liked though. Matilda saw me. She came up to me later, and she was like, "You really went into it." I was like, "We were watching you. Me and Chantal were watching you. We're like, you dance sexy. There's a sexy girl inside of you." And I was that's the nicest compliment I've heard in a long time. I was like when do you ever get like actually genuine? Like, thank you for seeing the sexy girl in me. So genuine compliment. I felt good about it. Yeah, it was nice.
Love it, and like this is one of the things which I love about you too, brother. Not your sensual dancing. I haven't seen you dance sensually. I do want to get it out on DVD.
It's on my OnlyFans account, everybody.
I've got a few titles in my head. I love it, But like this is the thing, right? To the length and depth that we're able to find that within ourselves, we're able to give more. And like you're a life coach, right? So this beauty about you of being able to inspire people, make people laugh, use humor, but also tell it as it is, right? Not as you'd want it to be, but tell it as it is or as it was, is super insightful, powerful, and needed, right? So I love you for that, my man. It's really cool. I want to acknowledge you for that. So look, life coaching. So then how did you find this route, and what does life coaching mean to you?
Actually, it's super rewarding. It's actually, it was one of those things, give, connect, inspire. It was exactly that. And being able to help people that want to do a big change in their life, want to do a shift. It's called full reset coaching. It's something that, if I've done a big shift in my life, I've done that. A lot of people want to do the same things, and they might not be coming from organized crime and want to be a guy who owns tattoo shops in Bali and does personal development. They might just shift into something different. But there's transferable skills and there's knowledge I've learned along the way that'll help them. And, there's a lot of life coaches or people that I've seen out there that, maybe they took a course or a class in it and that's all they've done, but I've actually lived such a crazy life, like such a wide spectrum of experience, that there's probably going to be something I've learned along the way that would help, and I think outside of the box. And that's something that really my clients find really valuable. And there's no judgment, because whatever they've done, I've probably done worse. Probably done crazier, weirder, more shameful things. So you can just be an open book with me. And so I think that's a really fun part about it that I absolutely love. And it's rewarding. Again, it's something that I'm making a difference in people's lives, and I genuinely put my heart and care into that, and it makes me super happy to see people succeed and cheer them on along the way, And so, like, one of my clients, we were in the dope game together, and now he's in legitimate business. He's developing property, and he crushed it in the monetary world. He went into business after that. He's a business mind. A lot of the guys in the game, they're good at business, but they didn't go and do that spiritual work or that inner game, the inner work. They didn't go and work on themselves there. And I left, and I just did that for 4 years, and launched a few businesses along the way. But that's been where I can actually find value in guys that aren't comfortable with that, and maybe eventually they'll get to a point where they can dance sexy with Joe. That's the goal. You can work towards that, right? But there's a lot along the way that I think that can help people with. And I think a lot of people that I'm coaching right now, they just need those little perspective shifts that, you just take a big risk, but the risk is on yourself. And a lot of them don't see that, and they won't take that risk on themselves. But that's the one that has the best rewards, right?
And so people taking risks, right? So let's say I'm a person who, sees something bigger for my life, but I'm too scared. There's something that's blocking me, and I'm not able to take that leap. So the clients that you have, obviously there's a multitude of things, but whatever comes up from you, how do you show people, or how do you allow people, or how do you make people move out of themselves and take that step?
There's a couple different ways. One of my favorite ones before I was leaving the game, leaving Vancouver, Canada to move out here, was I weighed up the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. And when you actually just plan things out and see it, you can see that the choice is easier to make. And it's like, if I didn't leave the game and I stayed in Vancouver, I could get shot or die. I could get shot or go to jail. That's not very positive, not sunshine and puppies. But if I moved to Bali, I could risk it all and do that. Maybe I could be like a Bali businessman or something. That sounds fun. Maybe I can be like the dude in Eat, Pray, Love and get a Jeep, and great. That sounds awesome. And if the worst case scenario, if that didn't work out, I got to move back to my parents' basement, which sucks, but at least I got a basement. It wasn't the worst thing. I could live with that. Now, in other terms, when people want to make a big shift in their lives, I just line up and we just get really, really practical. And what do you want? What do you need to get there? What's in your way? What would happen if you didn't do that? What would happen if you did do it and it worked out? Great. Clarity. And that clarity is missing so much, right? And if you see things clearly, like Vipassana meditation, like, you can act. You can respond instead of reacting. And that's a huge difference in my life that I've seen then, is you can just live a much more skillful life. You just see clearly, plan it out, and go get shit done. And that's like my main thing I help people with is planning and execution.
Got it. Yeah. And this thing about life coaching, which I love, right, is also, so if you stand where you are, how old are you now?
I'm turning 33 in a month.
33 in a month. Date?
17 hours. No, sorry. April 3rd.
April 3rd. If you know Aren, April 3rd, wish him happy birthday. April 3rd. So you've come from this huge, you have this huge perspective, right, on life. So now if you were, again, I love to relate it back to perhaps some of the people who are watching. Maybe they're in a position that they feel trapped. Maybe they're in a position where they feel like they want to take that step, but they can't, or they feel like they can't take it, or they're in a position where they just don't have the confidence, right? So then you, almost at 33 years of age, right? going on 50. Right? What advice would you give that young Aren, right? Somewhere between ages of maybe 12 to 15 and then 20s. What advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now?
I think 12 to 15, I'd want to actually just instill that the most important thing is like that connection with yourself. So 12 to 15, I didn't really have that connection. I didn't know what that was, you know. I would want to start meditating at that age, you know, and I would have wanted to start having a deeper look at purpose and what made me happy and connection around me. And those are free things that aren't exactly tangible, but they make tangible results. And I would have really wanted to put more energy and time into that and developing my mind deeper, you know, and that would have been a deeper connection to myself. And that's something that anybody can do at any age. And that's a lot of what we do for YogiLab and personal development is like, yeah, yogis, that's union, that's connection, that's deepening that connection to yourself. And then everything else you connect with is going to come with more juice, you know, more heart in the game. That's what's going to actually provide the results you really want. And when you're doing a bunch of shit without actually connecting to yourself, you get yourself in weird places. You get yourself in places like you're selling drugs or you know, just weird stuff like that. That's not exactly what you planned it to be. But the deeper you're connected to yourself, you're acting from the heart. And when you're acting from the heart, the decisions are better, or they're going to make you happier. They're going to be more fulfilling. And fulfillment and contentment, for me, came from acting from the heart and not being connected to my heart. You know, I ended up in Mexico speaking to a guy named Juan, and he had a machine gun. And I'm like, oh, this is scary. Yeah.
And in
20s? 20s. Don't do so much drugs. It's bad for your brain. 20s, absolutely. It still would have been then. Remember the quality of your heart. Remember how much love you actually have to give. Remember why you're doing things. Remember that giving, you know, the secret to life is giving. And the more that you're giving, the more that you're centered around giving rather than taking. Rather than how much can I get, how much money can I have, how fancy can my car be, you know, how much can I fulfill my ego, but what are you giving in life? And that's something that changed me and changed my life and actually made things so much juicier, so much more so fulfilling, and made me happier. And at that age, I was so unhappy chasing how much big and tough I could look, and none of that worked. The Mercedes didn't make me happy. You know, the string of Asian girlfriends with fake boobs didn't make me happy. That was my type. Sorry, guys. And it was tough. It wasn't working. But if I took time to sit in what was the quality of my heart, how much love do I have to give? I never asked myself that, and I never thought of that. And every time I think of that, what is the quality of your heart, I get happier. I feel soft. I get mushy all of a sudden, you know, and then I'm like, the quality of my heart's gold. You know, I have sweet things in me. I am a mushy guy inside. All these tattoos, no, I'm a teddy bear inside, and I want to love, and I want to spread love around me, and I want to be doing good things, and that gets you out of situations with guys named Juan with machine guns.
Love it, man. Oh, hell. Love it. Ooh, let's really take a little breath. What's left for you, man? What's left to do for you?
There's so much to do. Holy.
What's left?
Oh, wow. Well, we got this goal with YogiLab, and we want to get 80 million meditators together to actually change and raise the consciousness of the world. That'll change the planet. You know about the Maharishi effect? Yeah, exactly. Well, Dave talked about it last week. Yeah.
For those not here, explain the Maharishi effect, right?
They did these studies. This is what the cool part was if enough people meditate in a concentrated area, it has effects that lower the crime rate. You know, it'll change the world in that way where I think it raises the vibration. People are just happier. I'm sure birds are flying, puppies are jumping around, but also people stop murdering each other as much, and that's a good thing, right? It shifts the crime rate. I think more connection will happen. I think actually people will be just walking the earth in a happier, kinder, more compassionate way. The more meditators there are, I think the world will work in a better way, right? Because it helped me be a better dude. When I started meditating, I was actually shifting the person I was because I couldn't sit with myself back then. And there's so much good that happens with finally being able to sit with yourself. that's the first step of self-love, right? Because I couldn't sit myself back when I didn't love myself, back when I was in the game, I wasn't proud of who I was, Yeah, I might have thought I was a big shot, but there's no way I would have sat with myself. That was scary for me. And the more people that can actually take that step and start sitting with themselves, start meeting themselves, start having that deeper union with themselves, it's going to shift the world. So that's our big mission there, is to get 80 million meditators together, raise the vibration of the planet. Maybe when aliens finally, take over or come down and see us, they'll be like, these guys are pretty cool. It's like this place is all right. So that's one thing. Then the next is I really want to help a lot more people with coaching. I really want to be able to shift people. I want to get people out of the drug game and out of organized crime and start making an impact. And that's one big thing about Full Reset is let's get gangsters doing some good. Let's stop perpetuating violence. A lot of why people end up in the dope game is because of daddy issues. They didn't have a strong masculine in their life. They didn't have somebody that they didn't have brothers in their life. They didn't have people that were positive role models that were teaching about these things like soft, fluffy stuff like what's the quality of your heart. No, that wasn't a thing. So the more that I can help people and inspire people there to shift where they're at and change their priorities in life and start giving first, selfless charity work. Seva is a huge part of the Sikh Punjabi culture, and that's my favorite thing about our culture. That's selfless giving, and that stuff is juicy. And the more that we can be doing that, the more the community will be connected, and we'll make the world a better place. And making that cool is a passion of mine. I want people to know that that's a good thing to do. That makes me super happy. What else we got going on?
See, so SpeakuP Monday, this is what this is, right? So it was started, as I mentioned, 95 weeks ago, your number 95. What started was me and my partner Marina, we had a place called Life in Bali, which is here in Canggu, well, Brawa to be precise. And we were doing it inside Tomorrow Gallery. And we were doing this thing of being like a regular cafe. And we're trying to do that. And it wasn't really playing to our strengths. It wasn't really embodying who we are as people. So for us, it was understanding that I was always a speaker, an inspirational speaker, and a coach, and da-da-da-da. Is that, well, how can we embody that? How can we bring that into this space and create something very powerful? Monday we chose because Monday is a day where, now I'll address you, Monday is a day where most suicides happen. So people who want to commit suicide, they choose Monday. Majoritively, right? Go figure. So SpeakuP Monday was, it was our attempt, our intention is to drop, just like a stone in a pond of still water. When you drop that stone in there, the ripples affect the whole. And that was the purpose of starting it. It was to drop that intention of positivity into that pond so the ripples affect the whole. So growing up as a kid, 18 years in a children's home in London, had many different experiences, some of which are very similar to yours. I got a really good grounding in what makes us human, right? And really good handle on how we can leverage that in an opposite direction, right? So now where SpeakuP Monday is going is, it started there, but where it's headed is how can we positively impact the lives of 1 billion people. I recently turned 51. And so I look back in my last 50 years and saw all the good things, the other things, and those things we're never going to talk about again, right? I saw all these things, and then I realized, well, the next 50 years, what is my intention? What is the intention for the rest of my life, right? It's not about ego, it's about your message. So what is my message? So that's where all of these things begin to come in, link up, and join. So since making that declaration, the kinds of people that I've always met some incredible people, but recently it's been people like you, like Dave, like Brian who's not here, Sasha who's going to be, and many people in this room who have the potential, the possibility, the desire and the heart to impact 1 billion people by themselves alone. And so where SpeakuP Monday is now, and we're going to grow this, is a platform for that. It's to be a voice, to be a message, to be that stone which spreads that message to as many people as we can get it, right? So even though we're not done, I just want to acknowledge you, Dave, and the rest of the YogiLab posse, because you guys are special, man, like for being that stand for humanity. It's super, permission to swear, super fucking powerful. It's really cool, man. And I've always known you to be a big teddy bear, by the way. I'm just glad that people, and you share yourself so people can see that.
I just want to say that's such a beautiful mission, brother. I really love that. For us to be doing what we can in our ways is super special, but also to find someone like you doing this and that intention, that's a juicy why. And that's such a beautiful purpose, and I absolutely love that, to actually be going out there and spreading that. And touching on the suicide point, that is so important, and that was a big part of my full reset too, is shifting, because I really wasn't happy, and that was something that, people need to know that you can change. And if you're facing something really dark inside of you right now, that's not forever, and you can do anything you want in life. And if they can just listen to something funny, change what you're thinking, and then get on a new mission, do something different, that could shift, that can change so much. And just that little dark moment that we're having, right? So that intention that you have on it is going to ripple out and save a lot of people's lives. So thank you for that.
Thank you, my brother. Man. Oh, so everybody here. So also, as Dave commented last week, part of what makes this special as well is you and the audience, right? It's because we're all playing part of this. The questions that come up are not, I don't write questions down, as you may have figured by now. All right? I just go with, I tune in and then I listen. And where it takes me, I know that's where we're supposed to go. But that collective intelligence that is created, we're all part of it, right? So everybody in this room, and having the opportunity to play around earlier on was kind of fun. Having people meet each other and talk about your passion, by the way.
Thanks, Sash.
That was awesome, Sash. that was very inspired.
German efficiency.
So now's the time. So Bella, we have a microphone, darling. Yeah, great. So if you have a question, right, just put your hand up and feel free to ask it. Remember, with these microphones, they're directional. So just point it towards your mouth, okay? So cool. So we've got one over here, darling, in the front. What's your name, babe? Maya. One for Maya, please. Yeah, coming. Yeah. We've got enough cable? Yeah. Should be able to get you over there. Awesome.
I'm very curious to know, where do you see yourself in 20 years? Is that, what are you doing with your life? Who are you benefiting? And what's your position? Are you a family man? How do you visualize yourself?
Good question. I like it. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be a brown, inked out, bearded Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. I'm gonna be like that. No, that's not that. He was quite a bit older. I see myself as a family man. I want to be somebody that has a community around me, and I want to be somebody that's then sharing the wisdom that I have with my kids, with people around me, mentoring, helping. I see myself with a cool hat. That wasn't very relevant, I'm sorry. But I saw myself with a cool hat. It was a great hat. I want to be somebody that I can use all the life experience I've been through and just be doing that, hanging out, chilling, doing what I love to do. Write a bunch of books too. That's something I really want to do. Write about my life, get that out there, mentor other people, travel a little bit, but chill. Family is definitely on the cards for me. If I can hold down a girlfriend for more than 2-3 months, that'd be great. Thanks, Sash. I need some help with that. Sash is the relationship coach.
Picking up on that great question as well, right? So I have 2 kids. They're 4 and 6, and 2 girls. But here's the thing, right? So age of 12 years of age again. I was in history. And we're studying about the 100 Years' War. This 100 Years' War took place in the Middle East, but as we know, there are many 100 Years' wars going on around the world, some for a lot longer than 100 years. And it was a kid in the back of the classroom, sitting back over here, my left, put his hand up. Miss, yep, 100 Years' War, yes. It can't be the same people fighting, can it? That hung with me, and I didn't get it. I did what every other kid did. I looked at him, pointed him, started to laugh and ridicule him because I didn't understand. And I was scared because I didn't understand. Years later, there was a massive racist attack, which I won't go into now, that I was part of. And I got extreme clarity. So before we were talking about empathy and how you can forgive yourself and others, how I was able to do it was that through coaching, I realized that, as most of us do here, between the ages of 0 and 7 or 0 and 8, we're in this theta brainwave state. In other words, we're like a human sponge. And we just collect all of these experiences, ideologies, mentalities, ways of seeing the world through our caregivers, which are often our parents. And then what happens is that becomes subconsciously entrained within us. Then our RAS, this other part of our brain, that's this filtering mechanism for bringing to us, pulling out of the ether, out of the universe, out of our lives, the experiences that match up with what I already think and feel and believe. And then I'm propelled down this track like a train with only one track into my future, subconsciously, without even realizing it. Now, this guy who started this attack on me was this guy. It started off, let me give you how it started. Oi, nigger, go back to your own fucking country. That's how it started, just to give you a bit of insight. So now, what I realized later on was that this guy was an unconscious robot. He didn't realize who or what he was being or really what he was doing. Because in his belief system, he believed that that was the right thing to do. That's how you behave. That's how you act for people of color or whatever. So being a dad now, and so we bring it together, I realize, as you do, so I can't wait for you to be a dad, right? Is that, it's how we bring our kids up. Right? And we're custodians of these beings. We don't own them. I'm a believer in conscious parenting, for those of you who don't know. And conscious parenting is about understanding that when you're triggered by your kid, it's got nothing to do with your kid. It's got to do with you. Because something, your kid has reflected something back that you don't really want to see or like about yourself. And you take them to task about it. Conscious parenting is essentially that. So through becoming a parent, you really do get to have an impact into the next generation. So that 100 years war with a kid in the back of the classroom saying, 100 years war, miss, I get it now, right? Because how we become, you okay? There's a drip of water from the air conditioning. It catches through that every time, should have told you. But what we basically get is a sum total of what we've been entrained with as we're growing up in general. So you have the opportunity to ensure that the 100 Years' War doesn't continue in the same way that one did.
Absolutely, that's a huge point. And I think about that a lot. It's like, I can't wait to raise little ninja kids that are conscious, like just really doing all the best things that I've learned and train them into that. I had a weird dream about to answer that question again, Maya, but about kids, and it was I was telling Dave about it 4 months ago or something like that. I had this dream in the middle of the night. I woke up and it was the dream woke me up, and I was back in my parents' basement, back where I got robbed that time, and I'm in my parents' basement. I was looking outside of the window because it was basement level. The window, you could see the ground floor, right? And I just remember this weird feeling like we got to go somewhere. But I looked out the window and I saw then these two horses go by, or ponies actually, and these two little girls on the ponies wearing all pink, in their little pony outfit, a little jacket because it's cold outside, and pink little helmet on, and they go by. And I just remember waking up right from that, and I was like, what does that mean? Dream interpreter, and do the little dream interpreter thing, and it was the innocence in my life, and wanting to give to the feminine, the purity of the feminine, and I don't know what the ponies meant, but the whole thing was I could see myself having 2 daughters, and that's what kind of I felt like it was, and I just remember waking up being so happy about that idea, that was something that I felt was going to be so sweet and healing, and something that I really wanted to have, and just. We did this thing in that Art of Loving Women retreat yesterday, and it was all these women come at the end of it, and we're able to then shower them with love, honor them, respect them, show gratitude. And at the end of it, I was just thinking, I was like, man, a lot of these women that came, I really admire and look up to. They've done so much work, and they must have had good dads. They must have really, or they just did a lot of the work on themselves, and great parents, great mom, great dad. But I can't wait to raise my own conscious, epic women, epic little girls, and that made me super happy. What you're saying, we can create epic people, and I want to do that. Yeah.
Respect. Now, does anyone else have any other questions? Remember, right? So questions. It's a collective intelligence here, so there's no question that's too silly or I can't answer that. You can ask it, because if you're thinking about it, someone else is thinking about it too. This is how it works. So,
am I allowed to make the same question from a different angle?
Sure, Maya. Sure.
I would like to know, where do you see 20 years into the YogiLab in the philanthropy aspect, what are you doing with the YogiLab in 20 years from now?
Yeah, me and Dave are hopping out of a helicopter. It's gonna be so cool. Sash is there. We're gonna be all like, no, okay. We had this idea, and it was like the YogiLab charity branch we want to call Karma Lab, and that's what I really love about it, is that like we can then be building schools, and we're having this with the practice hubs we're creating now, and getting people to have their own little meditation centers or just in their house, and getting people together to meditate, and seeing that just grow and growing into a global movement. So meditation isn't something that is done in monasteries or just at retreat centers. It's not something that's just controlled by anybody anymore. We spread it so it's open source. Everyone can do that. And seeing what that does to the world, and seeing how many more people have access to Vipassana meditation retreats, and just seeing what that does, I think it's going to change the world and have a humongous impact. So in 20 years from now, that's going to be like something massive. You know, we're going to see that shift the world. And then with Karma Lab is we can start building schools and going into high-risk areas. I see us, like, I want to be in the slums of Brazil. I want us to be in Somalia. I want us to be in all these really tough places, you know, in the slums of Chicago, and actually just like, okay, teaching the things that brought us power. And they'll see that we're not like soft dudes. Like we've done stuff. We're people stuff that people can relate to, and we can go into those high-risk areas and teach things that brought us power, actual real power, inner strength, and made us more whole and rounded men, and not just like the man-child that I used to be, but actually a dude that you know, I could be proud of when I was a kid, you know? And that's something that's really important, and I want to be able to teach that to people. And if we have Karma Lab schools everywhere doing that, that would be amazing. I'd be super happy with that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Great question, Maya. You know, there's one thing which, not one thing, many things, but that's permeated this whole conversation, right? And we haven't addressed it directly. So meditation, Vipassana. So you could talk a lot about this, so I'm going to give you a more specific question. So there are people probably watching us now, thinking about meditation, thinking about, you know, I've heard that it's really good for you, and I've done my Google search, and I can see all the things that it means, and I want some of that, you know. So firstly, what is meditation for you? Secondly, how has it assisted or helped you in your life?
Meditation for me is a chance for me to come home to myself. And so to be able to meditate and just to sit and clean my own house, you know, and if I got a messy house, meditations are hard. They're not fun, they're difficult. But then I clean the house and they get a lot more calm and peaceful. And that's something that I really valued over the time, because like I said earlier, I couldn't sit with myself back then. You know, I was a kickboxer before that. I could do that because I'd be out of my head and a way to move my body. But finally, when I went to yoga, and after yoga, then I was able to meditate. After all the yoga that I did, it was finally a place where I was able to sit with myself for 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes were like a massive breakthrough for me. Wow, just 5 minutes, I was able to finally meditate. I was like, hey, I can sit with myself. I can be in my own head, and be in my own home inside of my head, and be okay with the place, you know. And one of my teachers that I did the 2 yoga teacher trainings with, Denise Payne, she said to me, one of the main things I remember before I was going to that Burma meditation retreat, the one that was super hot, I was like, do you have any tips for me before I go into this one? And she said, okay, find a breath that says welcome home. And I was like, dope. That was a good one. I really liked it, right? And it stuck to me. It stuck with me ever since. So anytime that I start my meditation and I be conscious of my breath, I just think like, welcome home. You're home again. And the amount of time I spend running around and around everybody else's energy and be with a lot of people, there's not a lot of time I get to come home to myself and just to get to sit there and be at home in my heart. And that's something that that meditation there has been a big shift for me, that has then changed how I interact with everyone else. And the more I meditate, the cooler, or the less of a dick I'm gonna be for everyone else in my life. So meditation makes you less of a dick. New YogiLab branding.
And what is Vipassana to you? Maybe explain what Vipassana is for people.
Vipassana meditation is seeing clearly. It's about being able to scan through the body and observe the sensations that are happening to you in a non-judgmental. You just observe. Don't judge anything, with equanimity, and be able to see what arises and passes away. And the nature of the universe is impermanence. And to see that everything, and like I mentioned earlier, people who are in really rough spots, they're suicidal, they're going through it, just remember that is going to arise and pass away as well. So that massive knee pain you're going to get when you're trying to sit full lotus, it's going to go away. It'll come back, but it's going to pass away as well. And that was a big part of Vipassana meditation that taught me a lot in other areas of life. And that's what I love about Vipassana, is it's going to start you in little things that you wouldn't connect with everything else in your life, but they do. And to just observe and not react is so applicable in so many other places. And that doesn't mean be numb. It doesn't mean not respond. It just means don't react. And I used to be a super reactionary person, and that was causing so much trouble in my life. So many crazy, weird situations that happen because I'm reacting and I'm not taking a second, pausing, feel the sensations in my body, fully feel your feelings. Don't numb yourself out with drugs or sex or whatever else. Feel it. Observe. Don't react. Find the wisdom through that, see clearly, and then respond. And that was something that changed my life. And another big insight I had during a Vipassana meditation retreat, it was after a pretty intense time, breakup, home invasion, sword fight, robbery attempt that happened in my villa in Bali 3-4 years ago. I fought the robber, kicked his ass, I won. He had a sword, I didn't. Got a big scar on my hand from punching the sword. Bad self-defense tactic is punching a sword, but that's what happened at the time. I ended up at a Vipassana meditation retreat 9 days later. It was extremely intense, and I remember talking to a trauma psychologist after, because it was a really intense thing that happened. A random attack. People were robbing the other villas in my area, and they picked the wrong house at that night. But I remember talking to Dave before going in, and I was like, yo, I don't know if I could do this. And he had a broken foot because he got hit by a bus. So I know. Our lives are weird. I'm sorry. And so he was in Hong Kong going to do the Vipassana with us from his apartment in Hong Kong, and we're trying to go into Malaysia to do this retreat, me, Sash, Brian, a bunch of us, and my hand's in a cast and the tendon is fusing back. And I was, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I can do this retreat. I'm in a rough spot right now in my head. I went through a breakup. My finger is fusing back together. I'm in PTSD trauma type of situation. I don't know, man. And he's like, this will be the best thing you do. This is exactly where you should go. And I was like, I'm gonna go do this. So I go into this Vipassana meditation retreat, and it was the single most powerful thing I think I've done, to be in that state of wanting to run away from so much internal pain, so much internal chaos, so much trauma and sadness and grief and everything that was swirling around in me. Just sit with it. It was so hard, but actually to get through it turned into power after. And it was something I'm super proud that I actually went and did, and didn't run away from it, and felt the emotions fully, felt the pain fully, felt everything, just felt it and sit there. And when I left that, I was shining. I felt incredible. And that was something that changed my life, really. And what got me through it, and a lot of people, that if you have a really rough time in your head, there's this little technique from Joseph Goldstein that changed me. Dave got me that book. That was a dope book. Joseph Goldstein. And it was 2 things you can ask yourself if you're having a really tough time in your head. Because I was like missing my crazy ex-girlfriend, then thinking about the sword fight, then thinking about weird thoughts, not wholesome thoughts. And that's the first thing, that if you catch yourself in a thought process, is this wholesome? And is what I'm thinking wholesome? No, I'm thinking about a sword fight. Okay, drop it. Drop that thought right then and there. The second thing was, is this skillful? And it was like, is what you're thinking skillful? Is this a skillful frame of thought? And that means, like, is this helping you? Or is this thought process actually making your life better? Is this something that is a skillful train of thought that is going to lead to a happier, better, more connected, compassionate you? No, not really. I was thinking about, what if I chop the dude's head off in the sword fight? It was not wholesome or skillful. Drop it. And that right there has been something that helped me get out of spirals so many times. Because often you can ruminate, right? And you can think about stuff that's just going to get you down this super dark spiral. And those 2 things in that Vipassana meditation retreat helped me just snap out of it and get back into my body.
That's such a powerful process. It really is. And because, mamma mia, because, it's easy to get stuck, right? I've got to feel everything. I've got to do this. I've got to feel it. I'm going to let it wash over me, right? But with that process there, you get to take responsibility and ownership over it, and move it, shift that energy to get back to you. Beautiful, man. Ooh. So, last 2 questions, which means they won't be the last 2 questions, right? So, if anyone wants to meet you, see you, in the sense of life coaching. Notice that I added that in. I saw people going like, yeah, I want to see it. I want to go dancing.
Yo, I'm pretty good, right, Joe?
We're talking about life coaching now. As a life coach, people, I said as a life coach. I'm not going to be taken out of context. So, as a life coach, how'd they get in touch with you?
I think the most accessible part is my Instagram, and it's ink_pray_love. I know it's cheesy, but Eat, Pray, Love did change my life. It really did. I actually saw Eat, Pray, Love, and then I was like, yo, I gotta get to Bali. Once I find out where Bali is, I'm gonna get to Bali. And I was like, where's Indonesia? I thought, okay, really? I fucking thought it was near Japan or something, but all right. Go to Indonesia. Anyways, Ink, Pray, Love, that's my Instagram. That's an easy way to contact me, and I think that's the best route. That's a good one there.
And the Vipassana?
VipassanaOnline.com. That's through YogiLab. You can check us out on YogiLab.com as well. But you can jump into Vipassana Online. Free courses every month from the 11th to 22nd. We got 60,000 applications so far, something like that. So it's like, yeah, we're on the route to 80 million, and the more people that join, the better. You know, it's to spread the message, and you know the more meditators we have on the planet, the better everything's going to turn out for all of us. Less dicks around, like bad dicks, not like good dicks. No dick shaming. Sorry.
I'm not sure where we can go with that one, though I do know where I'm going to go.
Right.
So now you mentioned Bali before, and it's probably the last question, maybe not. So what have you found here? You got that? So what have you found here in Bali, and what makes it special for you?
Oh, yeah, easy one, because I absolutely love this. Bali saved my life. I absolutely love this island. Really passionately in my heart. This island means so much to me because it was the place that I was able to change and shift and grow. I absolutely love the Balinese people. They're so special. It's so incredible to be here. The nature is incredible, but that's not the best thing. The best thing I actually encountered when I came here was all the people that I met. The international people that I've met that have been through so many different places, that have lived so many different lives, that bring their change of perspectives has caused me to grow exponentially through that. I never thought my best friends would have been from Berlin or London or the States. I would never thought I would have these guys in my life that I would have no access to. You know, there's no way I would have met these dudes in East Vancouver, you know, but I might have met guys like Dave. Not really. There's no one like these guys, but
there's only one of Dave.
There's only one Dave. But like, I mean, I never would have encountered these people and had the perspective shifts that I had, and would have been able to grow like that. And that's the number one most valuable thing about being out here, is all these people that have lived crazy lives as well, and then shifted and changed. Especially if you lived in Ubud, there's all these people running around that are like, yeah, I used to be a dentist, now I'm a shaman. What the fuck? But it's true. So if you need, like, you know, if you need to be cleared and, you know, astral project and a root canal, boom, there you go. Good to go.
Love it. So we're gonna wrap it up soon, but I'm gonna leave it to you to close the show. But usually I leave it as an open question, but you can take this because I know you can handle it. So what I want you to do in about a minute's time is that. And now I'm giving you a bit of time to think, which maybe isn't such a great thing, but anyway, it's okay. What is one of the biggest challenges that you've had that you haven't mentioned, that you don't talk about, and how did you overcome it? Okay, that's how you're going to finish the show. So I'm going to give you 45 seconds. I've left the best till last. I've been softening you up, baby. All right. So for those of you here, so every Monday here. SpeakuP Monday, 6:30. He's in deep thought. 6:30 at Tropical Nomad here in Canggu. Come and join us in the audience. It's an amazing experience to have. And one of the beautiful things is that the people that you meet. So the people that you meet here are special people because everyone's on that journey, right? Everyone's on that journey to transcend, to grow, right? So you meet people here which are into transcendence and growth and transformation. So I want to thank Tropical Nomad today. Bella, you've been by yourself, honey. You still there, honey? Yeah. Cool. The crew from Tropical Nomad itches away today, and they've done an amazing job. So thank you so much, Guzman, and of course Bella. Most appreciated, honey, really. And to the studio audience, thank you so much, guys, for being here. Next week, we're back again. Remember to join the WhatsApp list or SpeakuP Monday Group on Facebook. So SpeakuP Monday Group on Facebook. Now, Aren's still going, fuck. I love it. Because see, usually, this is actually me paying you homage, because like, usually, you know, what comes up in my head is like, let's end the show like this. But for you, it just popped in, because every SpeakuP Monday is different. The energy is different for everyone. Every one of the 95 that we've done, almost in a can, has been different, because it's a chemistry, it's an energy that's created by everybody here. And each time that energy is unique, which leads to different questions popping in and different outcomes coming out. So it's really cool. So thank you so much for being here and being part of it. And now I'm going to leave it up to Aren to close the show. And again, just to remind you at home, in case you just tuned in. So what I've asked Aren to do is one of the deepest challenges that he's faced that perhaps he hasn't spoken about that often, and how he overcame it.
Okay. Oh shit. So I've fucked up a lot in my life. I've done a lot of crazy, stupid things that I haven't been proud of, that caused me and others a lot of pain. You know, I've done just things that hurt. And what I needed to do, that the biggest challenge was getting over that, forgiving myself, as we talked about earlier, and then finding ways I can learn through that, and actually integrating the lesson, and then not repeating the same patterns again and again. And the challenge was actually knowing why I did what I did at the time, rather than just don't touch the oven again. It's like, why did you touch the oven? What was what need did you have behind that made you go and do that thing again? You know, why did you call in another crazy tantra girlfriend? You know how that turned out for you last time. What inside of you needs a crazy tantra girlfriend? Is there something inside of you that's missing that? Is it a deeper connection to yourself? And to actually, it's a real example. That's why the guys are laughing. And it's because they know me very well. And so it's actually like, not to just fuck around and make a joke out of this. It was because I was missing a deeper connection and sensuality to myself. So what is making you to repeat those mistakes? And don't just like, yeah, I won't do that again. Sit for a second. And my biggest challenge is to stop and be like, well, what inside of you is causing you to actually repeat the same patterns? What do you need out of this situation? And if that's what you need, go get it for yourself. If you can stop looking externally for the things that are trying to feed you, and feed yourself and nourish yourself with those things to stop the patterns, that's the biggest challenge for me right now. And that's something that I'm having a great time right now, just learning and growing and doing that through it. And it really started with being able to dance sexy for myself.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Amazing.